I knew a project and it was major. It was going to take about 2 years to accomplish. And I wanted to be the first one to do it. And I knew that my staff was going to be like, well, why do we have to be the first one? Because, you have to work out the kinks and all this stuff. I knew that without their buy-in, it was never going to happen because I solely cannot execute this goal on my own. It's impossible. And not only that, but without getting buy-in and actually showing what you want them to do or what this goal is, without getting their input and their opinion. And hey, look, you guys are going to be the ones that actually make this happen, and putting that ownership back on them. Now they are a stakeholder and they have a responsibility to make sure that this project is successful.
Hey there, my name's Ashley Church.
And I'm Erin West.
We were once newly promoted crime scene and latent print supervisors on mutual struggle buses as we both simultaneously tried to navigate through the challenges within our forensic units.
Now we run a business where we create tools and resources that we wish we had had to make these transitions easier. We like to talk about the experiences we've had in the forensic field, the good, the bad, and the ugly, in the hopes to create awareness around these issues and move the needle forward to create positive change in the forensic community.
So if you're a forensic professional, regardless of your years of experience, who's not afraid to dive into real, raw, and sometimes uncomfortable topics, you're in the right place.
This is the Forensics Unfiltered podcast.
Hey there, it's Ashley, and I just want to say thanks so much for tuning in to another sneak peek from last year's summit as we count down to the 2025 Forensics on a Budget Summit. This is the second to last episode in this countdown series, which means we're getting real close to kicking off the festivities. So today we're featuring our next guest, JENN Meade. If you've ever felt like your team is capable of more, but you're not sure how to pull it out of them, JENN is here to help. She is sharing real strategies for inspiring your team to stretch, grow, and deliver more results. So let's get started. Before we start this episode, our guest would like to share a disclaimer that the opinions shared are their own and not representative of their current or past employment. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Forensic Supervisor Success Summit. We are so excited to have you guys here, and we're very excited about our next speaker here, Miss Jennifer Meade. We are going to deep dive into how you can motivate your team to help you accomplish major goals. She's got some great tips for you guys and some great examples of goals that she's been able to accomplish in her unit as a result of motivating her team. But before we talk about all that, Miss Jennifer, if you'll tell our guests here a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Jen. I am a wife and a mom. I have 2 teenage boys. I lead an evidence unit. I have been in a leadership role for well over 12 years now in different industries. And I like to push the boundary. I only say that because I think it's important as a supervisor to be able to take calculated risk. So in my agency, I've also been able to accomplish being the first female diver on our dive team and the first civilian. So it's not just pushing the supervisor boundary. I genuinely encourage people to think outside the box. And I hope that some of the things that I have been able to implement and some of the things that I've learned along the way of what not to do, that it helps those in the same industry.
I love that. I'm also an outside of the box thinker, girl.
Yes.
So let's talk about motivating your team. So how important do you think it is for the supervisor to be able to have the skills to motivate their team, both as a group and motivate each individual inside of their team?
Without motivation coming from the top, you may have 1 or 2 people that will be self-motivated, but there's no way that you're going to be able to hit some of those goals without successfully motivating your team. If you can't get them on board with doing what needs to get done, and I'm not talking about the like process this, respond to this scene, publish a report for this latent print, turn over these items for court, that has to happen. We don't really have a choice, but it's all of the things in between, those mundane everyday things that we do, that in my experience, that my team has needed some of the motivation. So without having that core focus on like, all right, we can do this. Come on, guys, nothing moves and you're never going to hit those goals without motivating your team. Because nobody, I mean, let's be honest. I know I don't want anything else added to my to-do list.
For sure.
So how do you say to somebody, hey, let's add something to your to-do list? Oh, and by the way, there's no extra money. There's no extra time off.
Yeah. You talk about getting buy-in from your team to hit like big goals and do additional tasks. And would you say in your experience that if you don't make an effort to get the team's buy-in, that it makes those projects sometimes much more difficult, or you sometimes will have people on your team that are actively working against those projects? Would you say that that's the case if you don't get buy-in from your team?
100%. Something I learned a long time ago. I knew a project and it was major. It was going to take about 2 years to accomplish. And I wanted to be the first one to do it. And I knew that my staff was going to be like, well, why do we have to be the first one? Because, you know, you have to work out the kinks and all this stuff. I knew that without their buy-in, it was never going to happen because I solely cannot execute this goal on my own. It's impossible. And not only that, but without getting buy-in and actually showing how what you want them to do or what this goal is, without getting their input and their opinion. And hey, look, you guys are going to be the ones that actually make this happen, and putting that ownership back on them. Now they are a stakeholder and they have a responsibility to make sure that this project is successful. Otherwise, if you walk in there and you're like, you're going to do that, you will 100% of the time have somebody go, no, I won't. Sure won't.
Yes.
And it won't
So
happen.
true.
So that buy-in is so crucial to the success of the unit. You have to show that if you buy into what I'm selling, then I'll buy into what you're producing.
To you. Yeah. I'll buy into you. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Before we dive into tools, tell us about some of the big projects that you're really proud of, that you've been able to kind of harness that productivity of your team through this buy-in and motivation to actually finish and accomplish.
I'll give you two. The first is vehicles. 8 years ago, we had some assessor, probably Kalia, maybe A&AB, came in and said, all right, everything looks great. They're doing their walkthroughs and they're checking their boxes. And they're like, okay, so where are your vehicles? And the director was like, what do you mean vehicles? About 2 weeks later, we took over all the vehicles that were seized throughout the entire agency. When I started, no one had ever gotten rid of a car. All it took was me taking the first step. So I reached out, we did the whole process. And now to this day, my team can single-handedly get rid of any vehicle, any item, boat, trailer, homicide vehicles. To go from, oh, I don't know, so-and-so takes care of the cars, to they single-handedly are now calling the insurance companies and saying, calling the DMVs and saying, look, if you don't come out and re-VIN this car, we're going to turn it over. And it's gone. And to think back to 3 years ago when they were like, we don't do any of that. The other is we were at the time responsible for getting rid of a certain percentage of items of the total number of items that came in the door. They raised it to 25. My staff was blowing it out of the water. We were hitting 50 something percent. So my chain of command was like, well, let's do 40. All right, hold on, slow down. Let's do 35. And when we did 35, the panic that hit my team was unbelievable. They didn't even realize how much they were already doing. The thought of increased percentages shut them down. So having to rework their mindset, and in all fairness, the staff that I had not created the issues that were present. So for them, they were like, I don't know, I wasn't here when that happened. To get rid of that mindset and the I'm too busy, I don't have time mindset took a lot of motivation and a lot of open communication and building a team. Like, you have to tell them, no, we will, and this is how. Watch me.
I love that. All right, so let's dive into some of the tools, a variety of different tools you can use to motivate your staff. So what kinds of things do you suggest for supervisors to try for motivation?
Hey, it's Ashley from Gap Science, and I had to hop on here and tell you something super important. I wanted to let all of our forensic friends know that we have something huge coming your way this September. But first, what we need to know is, do you currently feel stretched very thin? Feel like you don't have all the resources that you need, not just to do your job, but do your job well? Or like you're constantly being asked to do more with less? If this sounds like you, first, you are not alone. There are so many forensic units across the nation, worldwide, that are in the same boat. But most importantly, you are not out of options. We have created the Forensics on a Budget Summit just for you. This is a virtual event. You can think of it like a virtual conference, but better. Made just for forensic professionals at law enforcement agencies on small or tight budgets. Now, this is not for forensic units that are fully equipped with all of the fancy equipment and have an ample amount of people on their team. We are talking specifically to those that are working with the bare minimum, or maybe even less than that. You'll hear from over 20 experts over a span of 4 days, sharing real practical strategies to get the most out of your budget. Everything from creative funding options to training hacks to tools to advocate for your unit and systems you can actually implement even when the answer is usually no. If this sounds good to you, I want you to head to www.forensicsonabudget.com. That's forensicsonabudget.com. And if you're listening to this before registration opens in September, then you will be joining our VIP waitlist and you will be the first to know when the free tickets are available. And if you're listening to this and the registration is already live, don't wait. Grab your free ticket. Yes, I said free, and join us in September for this one-of-a-kind summit built just for you. We are so excited and can't wait to see you there.
So what kinds of things do you suggest for supervisors to try for motivation?
I would start with communication. You have to learn the language of your team, and you have to learn their love language, which sounds weird, but how do they like to receive feedback? Because it doesn't always have to be criticism, right? Like, we should be praising as much, if not more, than we criticize. I know that there are certain people on my team that like public praise. I know that there are certain people that do not like public praise. I know that there are certain people that appreciate when I do a team meeting, I will pull 2 or 3 things that every single person in the unit has done that was outstanding, whether they realized it was outstanding or not. And then I publicly recognize them. But the ones who don't like public recognition, they got an email. I create little Post-it notes, put it on their desk. During Valentine's Day, we had little hearts that were handwritten. And one person wrote what they appreciated about their coworkers the full 5 days leading prior to Valentine's Day. And to this day, everyone that was there at that time when those hearts were written, every single heart is still hanging up in their cubicles. And so that genuine appreciation, like, I thank you for acknowledging me. Thank you for seeing me. And the last thing, be open and supportive to and about your team. I don't allow any one person on my team to talk bad about the other one. I immediately shut it down. don't ever talk bad about your staff to your management. Your management is going to believe what you tell them. So why express the negative? If I won't allow it to happen going down, I'm certainly not going to be the person responsible for it going up. And so that if you want a solid, cohesive team, you have to be the glue that holds every single person together, knowing they're not always going to get along. Not everybody's here to get along, and fine. But I'm not going to support or be a part of you guys tearing each other apart. So I think the communication is one of the first steps to motivating a team. I think the second part is team building. And there's a ton of ways you can team build, right? I love birthdays. One person get one day all year long. And so I love celebrating people anniversaries. If someone's getting married on your unit, celebrate them. If somebody is getting divorced and they're happy, celebrate them. If somebody's having a baby and a work anniversary, celebrate the people you're around, because they will remember that. That day is important to them. Even if you're like, oh crap, I forgot it was today. I got to run to Publix or Walmart down the street. Take the time and do it, because it genuinely means so very much. Set a unit or a team requirement that encouragement is required. We will support each other. I did it without my team even knowing. And so I would go to my seniors who were my trainers and say, how many compliments did you give your trainee? After a couple of weeks, they knew the question was asking. So they started giving compliments before I asked. You've got to be able to encourage and lay a foundation of we will and continue to support each other. So encouragement was a big one. One of the things that we talked about was incentives. We don't have a ton of money, but there are a lot of things that I can do to show not only my appreciation, but to reward my staff for the things that they do. One of the best things that I did was I had extra leftover gift cards that I was not going to use. And I don't have any idea where they came from. It was small. It was like a $10, $5 Chick-fil-A gift card, but who doesn't love Jesus's chicken? So I took it and I put it on the whiteboard and put a magnet up and said, yours. And I said equals, and I put the goal. Within a month, it was turned over to that person. Now, you do have the power to approve PTO. So I went into my unit and I said, here's your challenge. I gave them the challenge. I gave them the reward. And the reward was whoever got rid of the most cases, the case with the most items, your holiday PTO is approved first. You have your pick. You want Thanksgiving and Christmas? Take it. You want the beginning of the year? Take it. And it worked wicked well. The other thing that we piloted recently, and it was hella amazing. Think about reworking your team schedule. Are you able to shift your staff? So I would tell you from experience, ask first. I did not know you need to ask first. So you got to ask and make sure you have that ability to change the schedule. But
I do want to mention one other thing that she mentioned early on. So besides, just recognizing your team with notes and all of the little things, she talked about delegating, like actually giving some authority and responsibility to team members to like take the lead on projects and be the project managers and get everyone together. And if you have rock stars on your team, rock stars love a challenge, love to learn something new, love a little extra authority, love those kinds of things. So that could be another motivating factor, is like giving them, not dumping on them. We're not talking about dumping your shit on them.
And they know the difference.
They sure do. That is not what we're talking about here, but we are talking about the opportunity for a little bit of growth, a little bit of more knowledge, a little bit of more authority. Like your rock stars on your team really love that too, as like a motivational factor. Would you agree with that?
I do. We actually had that. So I was out for vacation. My supervisor sent an email to my acting supervisor and said, all right, we got to get this taken care of. And it was a forfeiture. It came from our legal department, and it was something that was going from evidence to now agency property. And she didn't know what the hell to do. I have two seniors that the one that was not acting was like, I've done it in the past. This is how I've done it. She immediately jumped into it. She started knocking out things nobody asked her to do, literally handed it to her on a platter. I got back and she walked into my office and she goes, hey, I'd love to see the end of that forfeiture process. I saw the front half, but like, that's kind of interesting. And instantly, what would have been had you not proposed, like what you're saying, Erin, is giving them more knowledge. You're challenging them. You're expanding their brain. You're giving them more education. So she came over and she's writing notes. And I told her, I was like, do you want to try to do the next one on your own? And she was like, I'd love that. And then I not only appoint people as acting manager, but I appoint people as meeting leads. So I'm not going to sit up every month and give the meeting. You're going to. You put it together and you type the meeting minutes and you upload it into our system. And I will double check it. And it works.
Sometimes you forget about your rock stars because you're like, oh, they're just chugging along. They're self-motivated, you know, but eventually your rock stars can get bored. Like she said, they can stagnate, they can get bored. And so there's other things like, yes, it's great to recognize them, give them letters, all of that kind of stuff. But sometimes giving them learning opportunities, trainings, conferences, being able to shadow with you and you doing leadership building with them, you know, and preparing them for leadership roles. Sometimes that adds something. It's like icing to their cake for those that are already very self-motivated. So don't forget about your rock stars just because they seem very internally motivated and they don't need it from you.
Ultimately, all of this boils down to your team has to trust you. And that trust starts with talking to them and telling them what you want, what you need, and what you expect. And then don't just talk the talk, walk the talk, which I know is not the way it's said. But if you're not willing to do the work you're asking your staff to do, they're not going to do it either. Those are my tips. That's my opinion. It works for me. It does not work overnight. There's going to be days.
This really takes practice. I mean, so she mentioned very early on that she is an outside of the box thinker, right?
Yes.
And so you can't properly motivate your team if you don't know and understand the individuals on your team and you're not being genuine behind it, which you've said a lot about that in this talk, is like genuinely knowing them, genuinely caring about them, and then delivering them what they individually want as a motivator. And so, you know, a lot of times when we think about motivation, we do think about monetary, you know, gift cards and things like that. And so we're like, oh, we can't motivate them because we can't give them those things. So Jen gave you guys all kinds of examples of notes and emails and submitting them for awards and giving them a little bag of candy and doing thoughtful team building exercises and all of that kind of stuff that you guys can use to motivate your team. Please remember to think outside the box. There's literally a million different things you can do to motivate your staff. But obviously, the first step is knowing them well. And you can learn about them through all of the team building, being open and transparent and genuine with them. And then you can know what motivations work best for them. So thank you so much, Jen, for coming and being a part of the Forensic Supervisor Success Summit. We're always excited to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And keep your eyes posted for more evidence classes. You'll see Jen teaching webinars, boot camps, and academies and things coming up in the near future. So if you want to learn all the evidence things from her, you will see them very soon, and you can find them on gapscience.com. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and we hope you enjoy all the rest of the presentations.
We hope you enjoyed all of the insights from Jen, and if you're ready for more of this, you have to join us at this year's Forensics on a Budget Summit, starting in just a few weeks. It's absolutely free to attend, and we'd love to see you there. Just go to forensicsonabudget.com. That's forensicsonabudget.com to join the VIP waitlist or register for your free ticket if it's open by the time you're listening to this. We've got one more episode in the series, so stay tuned for more.
Thank you so much for being here and listening to Forensics Unfiltered. If you liked this episode, would you do us a favor and leave a review letting us know specifically what you liked about this topic? It will only take a minute, but it will really help us plan future episodes so we can bring you more topics that you want to listen to. We'll be sure to provide any links from today's episode in our show notes on our website. Head to www.gapscience.com. Until next time, stay safe out there.